students and other viewers. This is Eteta Television from Morogoro, Tanzania. My name is Neo William Kimbo, your English teacher. Today we meet again to share the topic which we started in the previous lesson. It is titled Expressing Oneself. In the previous lesson, we expressed on how we can express ourselves by using the primary auxiliary verbs. But now, today, our lesson basically dwell on how to express yourself by using the conditional sentence. One of the difficult parts, and actually most of students face problems on how to use the conditional sentence. But after this lesson, you'll be very capable. You can be able to use the conditional sentence when you express yourself. So at the end of the lesson, I expect that you'll be able to use conditional sentence type 1, type 2, as well as type 3 when you express yourself. Now, conditional sentences are also known as if clauses. Maybe a question here that we can ask ourselves. What does it mean by when we say conditional sentences are known as if clauses? Why do we call them if clause? The conditional sentences are called if clause because they normally start with the word if and then follow with other components of the sentence. And that's the reason why we call them if clause. The clauses, the first clause of the conditional sentence has the word if. If John comes, for example, if John comes, you see, we have the word if. And then the second part of the sentence, we don't have the if. If John comes, we shall go to the market. So we have just a tense expressing the simple, we shall go to the market. That is the simple future expressing what will take place later. So we call them conditional sentences are known as if clauses in the sense that the first clause is characterized by the word if. There is the word if in the first clause. And then the second clause can be characterized with just a tense. It can be simple present, it can be simple future, or past, depending on the kind of conditional sentence that you are trying to express. Now, I've already explained the reason why we call conditional sentence to be if clauses. Basically, we have three types of conditional sentences. We have three types of conditional sentences, or we call them kinds of if clauses. A, the first type of conditional sentence is known as if clause type 1 or conditional sentence type 1. If clause type 1 or conditional sentence type 1. And this one here, we are referring to possibility of something to happen is very high. So we say it is open or likely to occur. A certain event is likely to occur. It's likely to occur. So in this kind of if clause, we do not know whether the event referred to in the if clause is likely to happen or not. But it is certainly possible that it can happen. It is certainly possible that it can happen. The verb in the if clause type 1, when you express the conditional sentence type 1, if clause type 1, open or likely to occur. The verb in the if clause, the first part of the sentence, which you call the if clause, is always should be in the simple present tense. It should be in the simple present tense. Even though it refers to the future time. But actually, the verb, make sure that the verb is in simple present. If John comes, for example, I gave an example previously. If John comes, we shall go to the market. So the first part of the sentence, which is the if clause, the verb is indicated in simple present tense. Now, the main clause, which is the second part of the sentence, the main clause is usually in the future tense, or we call it simple future. Simple future. But this is not always. Sometimes it can be expressed in a different way. We have few examples here to show the conditional sentence type 1. For example, Roman 1. If Juma knocks on my door, if Juma knocks on my door, I shall be luck. If Juma knocks on my door, I shall be luck. So the if clause contains the verb in simple present. Knocks. Here, look here. If Juma knocks on my door, I shall be luck. The second party is simple future. I shall be luck. So the conditional sentence type 1 is characterized by the simple present and the simple future. Simple present, this is the simple present in the if clause, and the second part of the sentence we have the simple future. I shall be luck. Roman 2. If Karuru comes, I shall cook food. If Karuru comes, I shall cook food. Hope you understand now that the first part of the sentence, the if clause, the verb is expressed in simple present. If Karuru comes, then the simple future, I shall cook food. That is the simple future. Roman 3. If it rains, I shall dig my farm. If it rains, I shall dig my farm. Simple present, rains. If it rains, because the word rains here is used as a verb. If it rains, then I shall dig my farm. Simple future. Roman 4. If Wakonyo travels, simple present. If Wakonyo travels, I shall take care of his house. If Wakonyo travels, I shall take care of his house. So, travels, simple present. The verb is in the simple present form, travels. And then we have the simple future. I shall take care of his house. Is that clear, my dear students and other viewers? Good. I hope we are staring together. Roman 5. If we go into a hall, the leopard will find us there. If we go into a hall, the leopard will find us there. Now we have the simple form, the simple present form of the verb go. We cannot say if we goes into the hall because we have the pronoun we. We, here, look here. If we, and therefore we don't add the es. We cannot say if we goes. It will be if we go into a hall, the leopard will find us there. Good. Remember the following. This is very important for you to note, my dear students. The underlined above are if clauses. That is, the verb is in the simple present. The if clause is characterized by the verb in the form of simple present, and it is followed by the simple future. That is, the second component of the sentence is composed of the simple future, and the second part of the sentence is what we call the main clause. So the if clause characterized by the verb in simple present, the main clause characterized by the simple future or future tense, simple future tense. That is something that you have to remember. But also, it's not necessary to use the word if always. Sometimes you can opt. You can decide to use the word unless. The word unless also can be used instead of using the word if. Note that conditional sentences can also be expressed by using the word unless, which means if not. So the word unless implies if not. So if someone wants to express the conditional sentence, he or she can use the word unless if she doesn't or he doesn't want to use the word if. because they have the same concept. Unless means if you don't, or if not. For example, Roman 1, unless Annette comes soon, unless Annette comes soon, I shall go without her. Unless Annette comes soon, I shall go without her. I shall go without her. Now have a look. The if clause has been replaced, instead of the word if, we have replaced it by using the word unless. Unless, which means if you don't, if not. So just the same concept, if not. So we could say, if not, Annette comes soon. It means if Annette will not come soon. If Annette will not. If Annette will not come soon. If not come soon, then I shall go without her. You see? So the same concept of by using the word if. Unless if you don't. Unless Annette comes soon, I shall go without her. So in the main clause, we still have the simple future. Simple future. While in the if clause, we still have the simple present. The verb is in simple present. Unless Annette comes soon, I shall go without her. Roman 2. Unless he sings, I shall take away the microphone. Unless he sings, I shall take away the microphone. My dear students, you can have a look to the on the word unless, found in the if clause, in the first part of the sentence. Unless he sings, the verb sings. Unless he sings, we have the simple present form of the verb sings. Then we have the simple future. I shall take away the microphone. I shall take away the microphone. How do we call this part of the sentence, my dear students? Good. You have the correct answer. This is the many clause. And how do we call this one here? The first part of the conditional sentence? Good. It is the if clause. So we have the if clause and we have the main clause. Roman 3. Unless we study hard, we shall fail the final examination. Unless we study hard, we shall fail the final examination. This has been a very common question even in your Form 4 examination, Form 4 national examination English paper. They can bring this question in the form of write the following sentence by using the word unless. And you can find a sentence having the if, you see, if so, 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 so. And therefore, what you have to bear in mind is that the word unless can stand instead of if not. So you cannot put them together. They cannot be cooked in the same pot. Okay, so Roman 3, unless we study hard, we shall fail the final examination. You see, the use of unless instead of if not. Unless we study hard, we shall fail the final examination. So the first part of the sentence, which is the if clause, the if has been replaced by the word unless, but having the same meaning. That is, if you don't or if not. And this is a very common question in your Form 4 examination. They normally bring the question, write the following sentence by using the word unless. So in most cases, you can find a sentence given having the if. So make sure that you eliminate the if there is writing by using the word unless, because these two cannot be cooked in the same pot. You cannot put them together. You cannot say if unless. That is really broken English squared. You cannot have such kind of a sentence. Okay, so the second type of conditional sentence is what we call the if clause type 2 or unlikely. Unlikely. What does it mean by unlikely? There is a high possibility that the event can occur, and there is another possibility that the event will not occur. It's unlikely. So it is like 50-50. It can happen or it cannot happen. In this kind of if clause, an event in the if clause is unlikely to happen. The main clause refers to the unlikely future, but the verb in the if clause should be in the past tense. So you have to take note of that. In the conditional sentence type 1, we have the simple present form of the verb, and we have the simple future. But in the second, in the if clause type 2, we have the simple past of the verb, and we have the unlikely future expressed by the word would. We are going to see examples on how we can express the conditional sentence type 2. Note that the main clause in type 2 uses the word would and not will. In conditional sentence type 2, don't use the word will. Instead, you have to use the word would, because that is unlikely future. The word might can also be used in some sentences if you want to use it. Remember the following. With unlikely but still possible to happen conditions, the verb in the if clause is in the past. Take note of that. The verb in the conditional sentence type 2 should be in the past. And in the main clause should be expressed in unlikely future by using the word would and not will. Would, unlikely future. Let us have examples here to show how we can use or we can express ourselves using the conditional sentence type 2. Example 1, Roman 1. If I met a leopard, I would be very scared. If I met a leopard, I would be very scared. So in the if clause, we have the verb meet. The past tense met. Meet, met. So the verb is expressed in the past. That is the if clause. In the second part of the sentence, which is the main clause, we have the unlikely future expressed by the word would. I would be very scared. Have you understood, my dear students and other viewers? Good. I hope we are sailing together. Roman 2. If I completed the work on time, I would be congratulated. If I completed the work on time, I would be congratulated. Now, there is a possibility that if I completed the work on time, I could be congratulated, or sometimes I could not be congratulated. So it is halfway, it is 50-50. There is a possibility to be congratulated, but also there is a possibility of not being congratulated. So it is halfway. It can happen or it cannot happen. Roman 3. If you went through the forest on your own at night, you might be attacked by a leopard. If you went through the forest on your own at night, you might be attacked by a leopard. My dear students, would you like to go to the forest during the night? I hope no one is ready to go to the forest during the night, because I can see most of you are scared. You cannot go to the forest during the night. But if it happens that you go to the forest during the night, we are talking about possibilities that the event can happen or it cannot happen. Suppose it happens that you pass through the forest and there are wild animals found in the forest. There is a possibility that you can be attacked by the wild animals, or sometimes you can pass through safely without being attacked. So there is a possibility that if you went through the forest on your own at night, you might be attacked by a leopard. But it's not necessary. There is a possibility that the leopard can attack you if it's there in the jungle, or sometimes you can pass through safely and you're not attacked by the leopard. So this is just a possibility that if it happens, then something can happen or it cannot happen. Roman 4. If Kabadi ran, he would be attacked by the beast. If Kabadi ran, he would be attacked by the beast. Now, in the if clause, we have the past tense of the word run, which is ran. You see? The first part of the sentence, how do we call this first part of the sentence, my dear students and other viewers? Good. I hope you remember. This is the if clause. In the main clause, the second part of the sentence, we have the unlikely future. He would be attacked by the beast. A possibility. We are talking about the possibility of being attacked by the beast. So what you have to remember, my dear students and other viewers, you have to know the format of the conditional sentence type 2. Remember, simple past, unlikely future. Simple like that. Roman 5. If they are getting married next year, they would have started saving money by now. Maybe I can ask you a question. Is there any possibility of these guys to get married this year or next year? Is there any possibility for these couples to get married next year? So we talk about the possibility, probability. They can get married or they cannot get married. If they were getting married next year, we expect that they could have started collecting money from people. But it means they have not yet started collecting money from people. They would have started saving money by now, but they have not saved anything. And therefore, there is a possibility that they can get married or they cannot get married. It is a 50-50 probability, 50-50. I hope you understand because you do take mathematics. So when I talk about the probability, it is the probability of an event. Okay? I can see some of you laughing. How comes that the English teacher talking about probability, which is part of mathematics? I also have the concept of mathematics. Okay, fine. Let us proceed on. Remember this. The main thing to remember with conditional sentence type 2 is that the verb in the if clause should be in the past. Remember that. That's how I've underlined it. It's underlined. The verb in the if clause, the first part of the sentence, should be in the past, while would often occurs in the main clause, which is the unlikely future. Now, my dear students, I hope you have understood how to express yourself. You have understood the format of the conditional sentence type 2, and you can now stand a good position, or you can stand, you can be able to express yourself by using conditional sentence type 2, but also you can be able to do the assignment that you are going to, I'm going to display it on the screen. The assignment is on the screen. I think you can see it. Choose the correct alternative for each of the following. Roman 1. If Judith ... we shall go to the market. If Judith ... we shall go to the market. If Judith ... we shall go to the market. Now we have the answers there, multiple choices. A, came. B, coming. C, come. And D, comes. What will be the correct answer? My dear students and other viewers, what is the correct answer with this question? If Judith ... we shall go to the market. The first thing that you have to remember, you have to identify the type of a conditional sentence. After identification of the type of the conditional sentence, then you have to think about its format. What is the format of the conditional sentence that you have realized in the question? As for this case, if Judith ... we shall go to the market. The second part of the sentence, which you call it the main clause, is characterized by the simple future. We shall go to the market. And if we already have the clue about the second part of the sentence, which is the main clause, that we have the simple future, what will be the characteristics of the first part of the sentence, which is the if clause? Good. The verb should be in simple present. The verb should be in simple present. Now, among the choices here, the multiple choices that are given here, the answers A, B, C, and D. Which verb indicates simple present? Which verb indicates simple present among the four alternatives or choices? Is it A, came? No. Came is the past of come. Is it coming? No. The format does not allow. Because our format for the conditional sentence type 1, we have in the if clause, we have the verb in simple present. This one is in the present. Come? No. and therefore comes is the correct answer. So the correct answer here is D. If Judith comes, we shall go to the market. Roman 2. If the world's oil supplies were disrupted, the results dash dash very serious. If the world's oil supplies were disrupted, the results dash dash very serious. What are the answers? Those are the choices. A, will be. B, are. C, would be. And D, may be. What is the first thing that you have to think before you answer the question, before you choose the correct answer for this question? Think about the format of the respective conditional sentence. You have to know, is it conditional sentence type 1? Is it conditional sentence type 2? Now have a look. If the world's oil supplies were disrupted, the results dash dash very serious. If the world's oil supplies were disrupted, simple past, disrupted, the results dash dash very serious. We already know the first part of the sentence that it is characterized by the simple past. Supplies were disrupted, simple past. The verb is in the simple past. Therefore, the second part of the sentence should be in the unlikely. It should be in the unlikely future. The results dash dash very serious. You remember I warned you that you cannot use the word will when you express conditional sentence type 2. Instead, you have to use the word would. Now among the choices given here, A, will be, B, are, C, would be, and D, may be. Which one the correct answer? Which one the correct answer, my dear students and other viewers? Good. I hope you had the correct answer to be C. The correct answer here is C. If the world's oil supplies were disrupted, the results would be very serious. The results would be very serious. So this is conditional sentence type 2. Roman 3. If I became a millionaire, all our troubles dash dash. If I became a millionaire, all our troubles dash dash. If I became, now we have the first part of the sentence, which is the if clause. In the if clause, we have the simple past. The verb is in the simple past. This one here. If I became a millionaire, all our troubles dash dash. When we have the simple past in the if clause, that is the format for conditional sentence type 2. So if I became a millionaire, all our troubles, simple past, unlikely future. Simple past, unlikely future. A, would be over. B, will be over. C, will finish. D, were finished. What is the correct answer, my dear students and other viewers? Take time to think about it. What is the correct answer here? Good. The correct answer is A, would be over. If I became a millionaire, all our troubles would be over. But it's unlikely condition. You can become a billionaire, yet you still remain with some problems. Don't we have billionaires with a lot of problems? Good. That is a probability. It can happen that you can solve most of the problems by using your money, but at the same time you can have millions of shillings, you're a billionaire, but having a lot of problems. So it is a probability. And that's why we have to state it in conditional sentence type 2, that if I became, I'm not a billionaire, if I became a millionaire, all our troubles would be over. So the correct answer is A. Now, my dear students, this is an exercise or a practice that you have to do. What you have to do, question number 2, you have to construct any 3 type 1 conditional sentences. Construct any 3 type 1 conditional sentences. And after constructing the 3 type 1 conditional sentences, what's next? Change the type 1 conditional sentence you have constructed above into conditional sentence type 2. Change the type 1 conditional sentence that you have constructed in number 2 to be in conditional sentence type 2. Can you do that, my dear students and other viewers? I hope you can do, because we have really gone slowly through the lesson and have elaborated and have given more than enough examples. I'm sure you can stand a position to answer or to construct the conditional sentence type 1, and you can change them to be in conditional type 2. And the approach here is very simple. Just remember the strategy that I introduced to you. Remember the format of conditional sentence type 1, and then remember the format of conditional sentence type 2. Simple like that. Remember the format of conditional sentence type 1 and the format of the conditional sentence type 2. With conditional sentence type 1, remember, simple present in the if clause, simple future should be in the main clause. When you talk about conditional sentence type 2, remember, simple past or past tense of the verb in the if clause, and you have the unlikely future in the main clause. Once you remember that, you can be able to construct this conditional sentence type 1, but also you have the ability of changing the conditional sentence type 1 that you have constructed to be in conditional sentence type 2. I hope you are going to do this exercise, and I'm really sure that everyone is going to construct the conditional sentence type 1 and will be able to change the conditional sentence type 1 to be in conditional sentence type 2. And I hope you have passed through. Have you passed through the questions? Have you constructed the conditional sentence type 1? I can see some of you still constructing the conditional sentence type 1. Good. Then, these are the expected answers. This is for the case of question number 1. Those are the expected answers. And for question number 2, conditional sentence type 1 and 2, we have, for example, type 1, if Kagere scores a goal, I shall be excited. This is conditional sentence type 1. If Kagere scores a goal, I shall be excited. I think the Simba Sports Club fans have been very excited to hear that name. If Kagere scores a goal, I shall be excited. So we have the simple present form of the verb scores. Scores. And then simple future. I shall be excited. Now in type 2, it will be if Kagere scored a goal, because we're talking about the past, simple past in conditional sentence type 2. If Kagere scored a goal, here, scored, scores, simple present, simple past. If Kagere scored a goal, I would be excited. This is simple, this is simple future, but this is unlikely future. I would be excited. So my dear students, I think the remaining sentences you can be able to construct, isn't it? Are you ready? Can you finish up with the remaining conditional sentences? I hope you have constructed some, and you can now proceed on constructing some more conditional sentence type 1 and change them to be in conditional type 2. Now have a look to this, B, type 1. If Janet comes, I shall be scared with surprises. If Janet comes, I shall be scared with surprises. If this is conditional sentence type 1, how do you write this one to be in conditional sentence type 2? If Janet comes, I shall be scared with surprises. My dear students, can you try this? How do you change it to be in conditional sentence type 2? This is type 1. Good. In type 2, it could sound as if Janet came. Remember, the verb is in the simple past. If Janet came, I would be scared with her princess. If Janet came, simple past, in the past form. The past form of the verb come is came. And in the main clause, we have the unlikely future. I would be scared with her princess. Likewise, see, if Makamba fights, I shall be annoyed. If Makamba fights, I shall be annoyed. What do you do with the simple present form of the verb fight here? Good. I hope you have the memory that the verb fights, which is in simple present, for the case of the conditional sentence type 1, should be changed to simple past, or should be in the past form. And this one here, instead of having the simple future, we need to have the unlikely future by using the word would. Therefore, we have if Makamba fought, the past tense. If Makamba fought, I would be annoyed. If Makamba fought, simple past. If Makamba fights, simple present. I shall be annoyed, simple future. I would be annoyed, unlikely future. Remember that. You have to remember that, and you have to put it in your long-term memory, LTM. Okay, so if Makamba fought, I would be annoyed. That is conditional sentence type 2. Now, my dear students, I hope you have enjoyed the lesson. And now, let us finish up the conditional sentence type 3. With conditional sentence type 3, this is impossible. Not impossible. It cannot happen. Impossibilities. We are talking about impossibilities. Remember, with the conditional sentence type 1, we said it is likely to happen. With conditional sentence type 2, what do we say? It is unlikely. It can happen, but it is 50-50. It can happen or it cannot happen. But with the conditional sentence type 3, it's completely impossible. It cannot happen. You speak of something that cannot happen. Impossible. It is unlikely. It cannot happen. So in this kind of conditional clause, the event referred to is contrary to the fact. That is, it is impossible to happen. For example, A. If I were you, I would or should work harder, but I'm not you. You cannot change. I cannot change to be you, and you cannot change to be me. But you simply say, if I were you, but you're not me. If I were you, I would work harder. But it cannot be possible for you to change to be me. It's impossible. It cannot happen. B. If I had gone by taxi, I would be there by now. That is, I did not go by taxi, and I'm not there. If I had gone by taxi, it's like you remain regretting that if I had known, I would have done this and this and this, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen. If I had gone by taxi, I would be there by now, but I didn't go by taxi, and therefore I'm not there. C. If I had gone by taxi, I wouldn't have been late. If I had gone by taxi, I wouldn't have been late. But I didn't go there. As we speak now, I'm not there. I haven't gone there. I'm still here. I'm just talking of the, if I had, if I had gone, but I have not gone. I'm still here. If I had gone by taxi, I wouldn't have been late. D. If I had married Rehema, I would have been much happier. If I had married Rehema, I would have been much happier. This implies I did not marry Rehema. I did not marry Rehema, and probably Rehema got married to someone else. And therefore, it remains to be regrets. I'm trying to regret. I'm trying, it's like building the castle on air. That if I had married Rehema, but I didn't marry Rehema. Rehema got married to someone else. If I had married Rehema, I would have been much happier. But I didn't marry Rehema. I didn't marry her. Now, in constructing conditional sentences, you have to adhere the following important form. If clause, past perfect tense, had plus the past participle. If I had married, if I had taken an umbrella, I would not have been wet. If I had, so remember that this is the form of the conditional sentence type 3. If clause, the first part of the sentence, hope you remember, if clause should be in past perfect tense. Had, remember, had plus the past participle. Had plus the past participle. Had taken, had sung, had spoken, had taken, had, you can put any verb of your choice, okay? But it should be in the past participle. For those who can get stuck on the way, that when we talk about the past participle, it's the form of the verb which is added with the en at the end. Most of them have the en, like taken, you see? And we can have the words. Can you think of the other verbs with the en at the end? Think of them. Speak. What the past participle? Spoken. Good. But also we have some of them we cannot end up with the en. They end up with the ed. You see? So we have the had plus past participle. Remember that. You should not forget the format. In the main clause, it should be a past conditional. Past conditional. That is would, or would be, or would have been, or wouldn't have been. That is a past conditional in the main clause. So in the clause, in the if clause, we have the past perfect tense, had plus the past participle to the verb. In the main clause, we have the past conditional, that is would be, would have been, or wouldn't have been. Now we have the practice. We are done with conditional sentence type 3. This is the practice that we can do in our groups. You can do it as an individual, or if you wish, right there where you are seated, you can discuss and come out with the correct answers. If I dash Chelseaku, I would have asked to postpone the marriage. So the multiple choices are A, am, B, have been, C, had been, D, was. What is the correct answer, my dear students and other viewers? Good, you had the right choice. If I had been Chelseaku, we are talking about the had. If I had been Chelseaku, I would have asked to postpone the marriage. Question number 2. If I dash rich, I will find a wife as soon as possible. If I dash rich, I will find a wife as soon as possible. The multiple choices are A, had been, B, will be, C, would be, and D, were. Which is the correct answer for this question among the 4 choices? Remember the format of the conditional sentence type 3. Had. If I had been rich, I would find a wife as soon as possible. If I had been rich, I would find a wife as soon as possible. Question number 3. If she had told the police all she knew at the outset, they arrested her. If she had told the police all she knew at the outset, they arrested her. So we have the first part of the clause, which is the if clause, having all the details about the form of the verb. The form of the verb, as you can see, if she had, the past perfect had, and the past participle had. If she had told the police all she knew at the outset, they, now the past conditional, they arrested her. The multiple choice are A, would not have, B, will not have, C, had, D, were. What is the correct answer, my dear students and other viewers? What is the correct answer for this question? If she had told the police all she knew at the outset, they arrested her. A, would not have, B, will not have, C, had, and D, were. Good, you have the correct answer. The correct answer here is A, would not have arrested her. If she had told the police all she knew at the outset, they would not have arrested her. Past conditional, would not have arrested her. And these are the expected answers for the questions that we have gone through. So my dear students, this marks the end of our lesson today. I'm sure now, having gone through the conditional sentence type 1, type 2, and type 3, you can be able to express yourself by using the conditional sentence type 1, type 2, and type 3. Which means you can express something which is considered condition by adhering to the format of the conditional sentence type 1, type 2, and type 3. But in the previous lesson, we had also the lesson on the auxiliary verbs. That is, at the end of this topic, you can be able now to express yourself based on the auxiliary verbs, but also based on the conditional sentences. That is type 1, type 2, as well as type 3. I really thank you very much for your follow-up, and I'm sure that you have enjoyed the lesson. And next time when we meet, we'll proceed on with some other topics if God wishes. You are with me, your teacher, Sir Newa William Kiimbo. Thank you very much. Auf Wiedersehen.
Enlab Innovation Academy inatangaza nafasi za masomo ya Information Technology kwa ngazi ya certificate na diploma kwa wanafunzi waliomaliza kidato cha 4, kidato cha 6 na chuo NTA Level 3. Chuo kipo Kinondoni Vijana jijini Dar es Salaam. Zaidi ya kusoma, mwanafunzi anapewa nafasi ya kuanzisha mradi wa kiteknolojia pamoja na kupatiwa mentor wa kumwongoza. Pia tunamsaidia mwanafunzi kutafuta scholarships pale anapohitimu. Tupigie leo 0677 071 486 au 0744100231 au tembelea tovuti yetu www.nia.ac.tz.